Good afternoon. It's Saturday, the 10th of March, 2018. I just brought the plane back yesterday from Annual up in Rockford. Met a couple of guys who just bought a Comance and had seen my videos, which is a little bit weird. I'll be the first to admit. Quick video today. Just wanted to go over the changes and both inside the cowling and then in the cabin. And just some first impressions from the drive yesterday. It's too cold today to clean the plane, otherwise I would do that. So we got some greasy fingerprints and stuff, you know. Can't have that. Anyway, I guess we'll start out by looking under the pilot side of the cowling. And I'm going to reverse the camera here, if I can figure out how to do it. Okay. So the cowling is opened up. A couple of changes underneath here, and some people will recognize this, some people won't. I'm not sure if I've ever taken a video of the underside of the cowling or not, but last annual I replaced the muffler system. So I got the dual exhaust on it. This year we put in the Airwolf remote oil filter. So this is easier to get to change the oil filter when I go to change it here in the summer, in about 30 hours. It used to be back here, and it was very hard to get to where you had to, basically I had these plastic bags I would put across it and unscrew it. Also did some rerouting on the oil breather line, is now on this side of the aircraft. That's this piece here that I got my air conditioner going into. These plug wires, you'll notice there's two sets, right? So the red set, that is from the electronic ignition system. The yellow set is from the magneto. And that magneto, which you're not going to be able to see, is this piece right here. So that's my magneto. And on the other side of the plane is the electronic ignition, and I'll show you that in a second. I kind of talked about why I did these upgrades on the flight up there. And this video is probably not going to be very exciting unless you're mechanically inclined, and I really am not very mechanically inclined. Now, back here, you can just see it. We might be able to see it a little bit better. This is the backup alternator right here. It went on in place of where the vacuum pump used to be. There used to be a vacuum pump here, and now that's the backup alternator. So that's pretty much it from this side of the aircraft. You'll notice there's a bunch of new probes for the JPI 830, both cylinder head probes that you can see. God, I don't even know where they're on the other side. And then the exhaust gas temperature probes. These are all new, along with all these wires that bring everything back into the cockpit. So let's switch sides here. All right. Let me unlatch this. I got to admit, this is one of my favorite things about a Comance, is you can actually get to the engine without stripping the cowling off. Okay, on this side, same thing. We got the new electronic ignition plug wires. This is the other side of the dual exhaust system. And then the yellow plug wires, which are back here, come from that magneto. So here's the electronic ignition. That's where the other magneto used to sit. And here is the control box, right here. So those two work in combination from timing perspective and everything to fire the spark plugs. And then, well, here's the backup alternator. You can see it a little bit better. Before this dual exhaust, there used to be a huge muffler that sat right here, and I'm not real sure how you could, maybe you could do it. The mechanic could have to figure it out to put all that in. So that's pretty much all the changes under the cowling. We did run into one issue. Hey, here's our cylinder head stuff is all in there. You can't even really see it. We did run into one issue with the number 5 cylinder. And you all saw the flight on up there. So I flew the plane up to Rockford, and dropped it off, didn't notice anything wrong. Get a call the next day from Tim, says I can't get the number 5 cylinder to hold compression. So we staked it, which is you go in there and you start. He bore scoped it and saw it was the exhaust gas valve. So he went in there and he monkeyed with it and staked it and tried to get it to seat, and it just was not seating. So I did end up sending a number 5 cylinder off to Poplar Grove Aeromotive and have them redo it. It was, I think that was like $700. Wasn't cheap. But, and the funny thing was, I didn't notice a thing. Not a thing. Okay, so now we get into the cabin. That was the first big surprise of the annual. Okay, so in here we added, and I talked about this for a year, the second G5 is down here, and that's tied into now the Garmin 650. We took a flight with Avionics Place yesterday afternoon and got it tested, and everything is working really good. You'll notice something's changed here. That was the second little surprise. That electronic tachometer that I put in 3 years ago apparently does not play well with the electronic ignition. So I'm gonna put that one up on eBay, or actually Tim said he'd do it for me. And I put an old-fashioned mechanical tachometer in it because of course it can't really do, it doesn't interface with much of anything. Another thing you'll notice is the key is gone down here. It's now got 2 switches, one for the electronic ignition and one for the magneto. So a small change in my checklist. I've got to turn this one on to start the airplane. Most of the times I don't even film that part of it. And then once the airplane is going, I kick on the magneto. For some reason it doesn't like to start on both. It wants to kick the prop back. It's got to be something with the timing on when they fire over. Another small change here. You'll notice the temperature, or I'm sorry, the exhaust gas temperature selector is gone. So is the carb temp. And that was carb temp. This was where the EGT valve was. This was blank. This had that remote compass that didn't work. And then I got rid of, or I sold this indicator because now this does that's job. In replace of all these instruments, I come over to here and there's the JPI 830, which I got to work on today. I got to dial it in a little bit. There's some setup involved. I'm going to need to make 3 2-hour flights to start working on the K factor side of things to make sure that the fuel flow is reading properly. This switch now turns interfaces with this so you can see just fuel flow information or just EGT information, or you can see all of it. Let's see, what else? Got a new switch up here. This is for the standby alternator system. So when I turn the master on, I turn this on. When I turn the master off, I turn this off. And it controls the alternator. So what I got now is an alternator failure light. This will come on and say, hey, alternator's bad. At the same time, if this is on, it'll automatically kick over. And there's a little light right here, which you can barely see when you're sitting in the plane, but you can see it, that turns on and says, hey, I'm working. If the load is too much, this little light will flash, and I know I got to dump some load here to cover it. That, I think, is pretty much it. The 2 big surprises were the cylinder and that tachometer not playing with the system correctly. That's pretty much it for today. I will try to get some more filming done when I go on these test flights, or at least film part of them. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.